Hey friends and folks. We did a session of active and passive, where we did present tense, and basic conversion rules. In today's session, we will do past tense in details. First, we will revise the previous session a little, then move on to the past tense. In today's session, we will do only the past tense. In the next part, we will do the future tense. Let us begin our today's session. But first, make sure you have a pen and a notepad to jot down important points to revise later. Active voice means that a sentence has a subject that acts upon its verb. Passive voice means that a subject is a recipient of a verb's action. You may have learned that the passive voice is weak and incorrect, but it isn't that simple. When used correctly and in moderation, the passive voice is fine. In English parsing, verbs have 5 properties: voice, mood, tense, person, and number. Here, we are concerned with voice. The 2 grammatical voices are active and passive. Using the active voice conveys a strong, clear tone, and the passive voice is subtler and weaker. Here's some good advice: don't use the passive voice just because you think it sounds a bit fancier than the active voice. That said, there are times the passive voice is useful and called for. Take "the squirrel was chased by the dog" for example. That sentence construction would be helpful if the squirrel were the focus of your writing and not the dog. A good rule of thumb is to try to put the majority of your sentences in the active voice, unless you truly can't write your sentence in any other way. When the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action, we say that the sentence is in the active voice. Sentences in the active voice have a strong, direct, and clear tone. Here are some short and straightforward examples of active voice. Monkeys adore bananas. The cashier counted the money. The dog chased the squirrel. All 3 sentences have a basic active voice construction: subject, verb, and object. The subject monkey performs the action described by adore. The subject the cashier performs the action described by counted. The subject the dog performs the action described by chased. The subjects are doing, they take action in their sentences. The active voice reminds us of the popular Nike slogan, "Just do it." A sentence is in the passive voice, on the other hand, when the subject is acted on by the verb. The passive voice is always constructed with the conjugated form of to be plus the verb's past participle. Doing this usually generates a preposition as well. That sounds much more complicated than it is. Passive voice is actually quite easy to detect. For these examples of passive voice, we will transform the 3 active sentences above to illustrate the difference. Bananas are adored by monkeys. The money was counted by the cashier. The squirrel was chased by the dog. Let's take a closer look at the first pair of sentences: monkeys adore bananas and bananas are adored by monkeys. The active sentence consists of monkeys, subject, plus adore, verb, plus bananas, object. The passive sentence consists of bananas, object, plus are adored, a form of to be plus the past participle adored, plus by, preposition, plus monkeys, subject. Making the sentence passive flipped the structure and necessitated the preposition by. In fact, all 3 of the transformed sentences above required the addition of by. The basic rules of conversion from active voice to passive voice are: convert subject of active voice to by plus agent of passive voice. Convert object of active voice to the subject of passive voice. Change the active verb to be plus participle form of the verb. If you can understand these 3 basic rules, you can change active voice to its passive form in moments. Now that we have discussed what active and passive voice are, and what their uses are, we must now move to the rules of conversion. First of all, let us know the conversion rules of pronouns. The one-line statement for the conversion of pronouns is: change nominative form of pronoun in active voice to objective form in passive voice. That is, I changes to me, he changes to him, she changes to her, they changes to them, we changes to us, you and it remain the same. Having done the revision of what we did in the last session of active and passive voice, let us now move to the past tense. First we will do the simple past tense. The syntax of the active voice in simple past tense is subject plus past participle plus object. For example, she cleaned the house. When we change it to the passive voice, we make the object of active voice subject in passive voice, vice versa, along with adding a was with the verb in third form. For example, the house was cleaned by her. Now we have the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense in active form follows the general rule: subject plus was or were plus present participle plus object. For instance, I was waiting for dinner. In changing it to its passive form, we have to follow the following syntax: subject plus was or were being plus past participle plus by object. For example, dinner was being waited for by me. At the last we have the past perfect tense. Past perfect tense is written in active form with the syntax: subject plus had plus past participle plus object. For example, I had finished my work. When we make its passive voice, we follow the following: subject plus had been plus past participle plus by object. As we did of this sentence, my work had been done by me. Remember a very important thing: subject of the passive voice is the object of active voice. By object is not an essential part. In some sentences we do not have subject in active voice. In those cases, we will not write any object in passive voice too. But that we will do later, when we will do the different types of sentences. Past perfect continuous cannot be changes to passive voice, so this was all for past tense. This was today's session. I hope I made the basic things clear. We will do the advanced conversions of different types of sentences too, but roots must be strong for that. If you keep revising anything, you will not forget it. So keep revising. We will meet soon with the next session. Thanks.